So embroidered products are all the rage right now, especially on Etsy and TikTok Shop. And the most exciting thing about this is that Printify now offers embroidery on different products other than hats. They now offer it on sweatshirts. And this is a huge change in the game for print-on-demand sellers, especially those who use Printify, because we have been begging for it and it is here. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how we're going to source a design that's correct for embroidery. I'm going to help you with the upload process and show you and tell you about all these different specs that you actually need to know when you are doing embroidery. And if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Mac. I post videos talking about e-commerce, passive income, and different ways to make money online. And I'd love for you to be a part of our community here on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe. And like the video if you found it helpful, because that always lets me know what types of content that you guys like to see. So first things first, let's understand what exactly is different about embroidery than a traditional printing method in print on demand. So most of the time, your print providers use what is called DTG printing. That stands for direct to garment printing, which is essentially the ink being pressed into whatever it is of the product that you're selling. So if it's a shirt, if it's a sweatshirt, the ink is actually pressed directly into that garment. And this is not a vinyl print. That's why a lot of the print on demand products that I'm sure you've ordered or had samples of, you can't peel off of like a sweatshirt, you know, like if you have a vinyl print sweatshirt, you can it starts to peel. That doesn't happen with print on demand products because they're using ink that is pressed directly into the garment. Now with embroidery, it is a completely different process because we're not using ink at all. That is what gives it that raised effect, is that it's actually thread. And so with thread comes more responsibilities as a designer for your print-on-demand products to understand that we're going to have some limitations when it comes to colors. Now, what those limitations are is that you are only able to use 6 colors in your design. And so don't worry, I'm going to show you how we can vectorize an image and make it suitable for designing with embroidery. But it's something we need to keep in mind is that we do have color limitations and we want to be aware of that so that our customer receives exactly what we're trying to get to them. That simply just has to do with the machines for embroidery. Like these machines can only hold so many different types of thread colors. So that's why there's these limitations. You're going to find that with most embroiderer machines. So don't feel like that's just a Printify thing. Most of the time, these machines can only hold so much thread versus ink. Now, depending on the product you're creating as well, there are going to be some size limitations to how big the embroidery is. Now, Printify, as of right now, when I'm filming this video, they don't offer an extremely wide area on the sweatshirt to be embroidered. What they offer is similar to the sweatshirt where I'm wearing, where there is a part of the sweatshirt in the corner that the embroidery can go onto. So it's important to also keep note that with our design, it's going to need to be sized correctly because once we upload it into the Printify artboard, we're not going to be able to drag and drop it. So it needs to be sized correctly before we upload it. So I will leave the link exactly to the requirements right below for you for Printify so that you can double check those after watching this video. But as I said, we are going to go over all of it. So I'm going to pull up the Printify website and show you kind of what I mean by why we need to make those designs less complex. So let's go ahead and take a look. So here's Printify's website, and this is their design don'ts and do's. So basically it's showing here no gradient colors because it's not going to be able to do that with thread, right? Like if you get confused at all, just think of how it would look as thread. That helps me a lot. Things like this where it needs to have background colors as well so that it can print it correctly. And then any like complex images like this. So see like the butterfly here has like 150 different variants of that color. This one, they simplified it a little bit, but this one is what's called vectorized image. So like this is correct for embroidery. And then here is another example as well of not using a ton of different lines because the machine's not able to pick that up. And it does say here that there is limitations to thickness. If you do want to use something more liney, I guess you could say, you do have to follow a thickness for that line, again, because of the thread. So I'm going to go on my Printify account and hit start designing, and then I'm going to pick the product that I want to design for. So under your catalog, you can go all the way down, or not all the way down, it's right at the top, to embroidery. And then here it's going to show us all of the products that we can currently embroider with Printify. So I want to do a sweatshirt. They have both the Comfort Color sweatshirt and the Gildan sweatshirt. I stand by the Gildan sweatshirt. I think it's great. It's not like the most high quality one, but it sells and the price is there. So I'm going to go with that one. And then right here where it says decoration method, I'm going to choose embroidery. Make sure that's highlighted before you start creating. And then we're going to pick our provider. Now I'm just going to like skim through here and see what colors I kind of have an idea of what I want to create. So I see they have sand here for Demonity, and that has better ratings than Fulfill Engine. So I'm going to hit start designing with them. And then on the left side here is all of our golden information that we need to follow. So we need the print area size of 1200 by 1200 pixels. And then again is all of that design stuff that I just explained to you. So if you just need to like double check that, it's right here on the left side. If that disappears, you just hit this little I, product info. Okay, so now we have our dimensions. So 1200 by 1200 pixels, we can start designing. So I'm gonna go over to Kittl and I'm gonna hit new project. And then right off the bat, their standard is 1200 by 1200 pixels, and that's exactly what we need. So I'm gonna hit create. Now, my artboard is perfectly sized. Now, as I mentioned before, we can't undo and like rescale a design size, excuse me, in our artboard on Printify. So we need to do that before we download it to upload it, if that makes sense. So let me show you. So I know that I want to create something like Martini-esque. It's near the holidays, and I'm not really going to be selling this sweatshirt, but just going off of what's trending right now, the whole like martini, I marry martini, I need a martini. So I'm going to go ahead and do teeny time with a little martini. That's kind of what I'm picturing in my mind for a cute little sweatshirt. So what I want to do is I'm just going to go over to the text here, hit add headline, and then type my text. And then most importantly for my design, I need a martini for this. And again, we need to follow those vectorized guidelines for our design. So it can get a little bit tricky. So you have two options here. I'll show you them both. I'm going to go to elements and type martini. Ooh. And then I can kind of look and see if there's something that fits the vibe I'm looking for. So there's some like espresso martinis here, but here I want to just show you something. So this image right here, that is too complex for embroidery, right? This would work perfect for DTG, but that's too complex for embroidery. Because if we go back to our design do's and don'ts, that's looking like this. That is a no-no in comparison to what it should look like, right? So I'm going to highlight the image and I'm going to go over to image vectorizer and I'm going to see if I'll be able to vectorize this image to make it available to use for my embroidery. That's why I like Kittl, because they have this little image vectorizer and you can select which colors. So essentially we're just breaking down and making the design less complex so that that machine is going to be able to pick up on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and select 2 colors just to test it out. You may have to play around with this a little bit, so just note that. Okay, so as you can see, it just simplified it. I still don't love the way this one looks, so we're gonna try another one. But you can see what I mean here, that it broke down the colors, and now we're actually able to change the colors as well. So that's kind of what we need to do for our specific image. Now this one here is super cute, and this would actually work pretty well. The lines are a little bit thin, so I could go ahead to border weight and make it a little bit thicker if I wanted to, and it really just depends. But I actually want a little bit more complex than this. I want to make it like still like this, but just a little different. So let me show you another thing that you can use on here if you're not finding the exact type of image you want. So I'm going to go to Kittl AI image generator and I'm going to type dirty martini. And then I'm going to go down to vector styles, because again, we need a vector image. That's the whole point of this. And I'm going to select vector art and hit generate image. So you kind of have to play around with this a little bit and test out like different types of art styles. Like you can try to cartoon. And I like this because they have that like vector option and you can kind of see and like what you're getting here and see if that gets more to your vibe. But a little hack that I really like is what's called the save styles. So we can create a save style if we want to use AI. So what you can do is go over to Google or you can go over to Etsy and you can find a dirty martini that you like the vibe of. So for instance, if I like the way that this martini looks, or maybe I like the way that this martini looks, I'm not going to take this image because I don't have rights to this image, but I like the style of it. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit save image as, and I'm just going to save it as martini reference. And it's saved as a JPEG. That won't happen all the time. If it doesn't, you have to find an image that will save to your computer as a JPEG or a PNG, so just keep that in mind. And then right here under the AI, I already have that I want a dirty martini. And then right here, see where it says Save Styles, you can upload an image. So I've now just uploaded that to my account on Kittl. And what I'm gonna do is hit this button here, and I'm gonna go to Save as Image Gen Style. So it's now saving that as an image gen style that I can create a martini glass in. Now I'm going to select Dirty Martini as I did before, but I'm selecting the minimalist one, and I'm going to hit Generate Image. Okay, so check it out. It made its own version of this. Now we may have to play around with it a little bit just because certain terms with AI, it's never perfect the first time. That just isn't how it works. You kind of have to like get some prompts for it. You could also use ChatGPT if you wanted to get like more specific prompts, but check this out. So this is creating a pretty good vectorized image for us for a dirty martini that we can use. So this is what I would highly recommend, is just doing this. I just like to keep clicking it until I get something more along the lines of what I'm looking for. So perfect. So this one, this is great. So after playing around with it, this is the one that I came across. So as you can see, there is a background on it. So I'm going to go to AI background remover. Okay. And then now the background's gone, but I do feel like we could leave this be, but I want to vectorize it so I can change our colors so that Printify picks them up correctly. So I'm going to go over to the image vectorizer, which is, as I said, the holy grail of Kittl. I absolutely love this tool. And I'm going to do 5 colors, I believe, because I think we can actually do 4. Let's see. Perfect. So check it out. So we have 4 colors here that we're working with, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to show you right now why that is important. So we now have our teeny time image here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Printify, and I will link this for you. And these are the colors that I'm able to use in my design. So this is very important. Printify, when you upload your design right into their embroidered UI, right? They're going to select the colors for you. So we need to tell them ahead of time what colors we want to use. And by doing that, we need to use what's called a color code or a hex code. So that is these codes here that we will need to use. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy image. I'm going to go back over to Kittl, and I'm going to hit this button here for an artboard. I'm going to make a new artboard, and then I'm going to hit Control V, and I'm going to paste the colors in here. So now what I can do, instead of like having to manually write down these color codes, check this out. I'm going to highlight the martini, and I know for the black in the image that I need it to be that same black for that. So what I do, drag and drop tool, grab the black on that color. Now it's the perfect black, has the same color code. Next thing I'm going to do is the green for that little olive. Do I want it to be that dark green or that bright green? I'm going to choose the bright green. Grab the dropper tool, select that green, boom. Now for the next thing, for the color of the martini. Now I'm not necessarily perfectly sure what color I want the inside to be. So I do think gray might be my best option here. So let's just try it out. We can always come back and change it, but that's essentially what it'll kind of be printed like. Or if I wanted to, I could select their version of white, but then the only issue is the other thing is going to have to be a background. So I could do it black if I wanted to. So you kind of have to play around with it a little bit just to get it, perfect. And you may have to upload this into Printify and then change it out. So let's do a little bit of test on here. This is what's important about this, is I'm just going to download it just to test it out quick, just to see. Okay. And then I'm going to hit preview. Now, as I said, Printify is going to grab the colors on their own. So that was why we were using the specific hex codes for this, because it really, simplifies it. So when I zoom in, I see teeny time. So it shows me that the black is the outline and that the gray is the middle, and then the olive, but also the skewer is showing to be green. So that's something I need to decide whether or not I like. And if it is, I can continue with that, or I can try again with a different type of design. So if I want to just try one more time and see if I can get it a little bit closer to what I want. So you will have to kind of play around with this, as I mentioned, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just vectorizing it, making sure that it looks right by testing it. And then what I've realized is that I'm actually going to use the 7 colors to make it look the best that it is. And I'm just going to change all the ones that are closest to, again, those approved colors. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my teeny time. So I kind of want it to be up at the top and then rounded, I think. So with the text here, I have to follow the same type of guidelines where they don't want text that's like super thin or anything like weird like that. So I'm gonna just go to script and just play around until I find a text that I like. So like nothing like this. See how that one's like more intense? Now, important, again, this is that standard size of what is going to be on the embroidered sweatshirt. So I'm going to make it fill the entire thing the way that I want it to, because again, we cannot scale it in Printify. And I like it, it's good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit download, and then I'm going to select the artboard that I'm working in and make sure that remove background set, download, and then let's bring it over to Printify and check it out again. Okay, perfect. This is exactly how I want it to look. I like the colors. I like the text, the way that it looks. So this is just a preview of a preview. So what's going to happen after we hit save product? Printify is going to do what is called digitization. So that is essentially making a file able to be used for the embroidery machine. So this is normally an extremely lengthy process that you'd have to go through to digitize your file if you don't know what you're doing. So most likely you don't know how to do that, but we don't have to worry because Printify will do it for us. So what you can expect after you hit save for your product is you may have to wait up to 36 hours. It's been quicker lately, but you may have to wait up to 36 hours for Printify to do what's called digitization on your product. They are going to make sure that your file is correct, that the colors are correct, and some things may look a little bit different in your final design. They may thicken the lines a little bit, they may change up a color, so it's important for you to either approve that design that they create for you, or say, hey, no, that's not correct, and then you'll have to change the design around. The digitization, as of now, is free on Printify for them to do for you, and once you've created a design and approved a digitization, such a difficult word to say, sorry. Once you've created a design and approved the digitization that Printify has given to you, then you won't have to keep approving it over and over again for that design. So just something to keep in mind with your embroidered products. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save selection. And then you would just go about this the same way that, you know, you'd be uploading. But overall, look at this design. It's super cute. When I go on Etsy, there's a lot of cute ones on Etsy that are selling really well too. So I like the one that we made. I honestly think it's like cuter than some of the other ones. And yeah, so that's a perfect way to be able to make an embroidered sweatshirt using Printify. And if you want to see me order some samples, please let me know. I can do a more like forward video showing you like what exactly they print like. I'll even order this one because I think it's super cute. And then something else to keep in mind too is after that design's approved, you can put that on like hats or other products that they also offer. So it'll like kind of speed up the process. And once you start creating the designs for this, it gets easier, but see how much different this looks than what the design is printed as. That's why it's so important to use their colors as I showed you here and to use that vectorization tool, which I was using in my Kittl app. So everything I used today will be linked below. Let me know if you found this helpful. I know a lot of you have been wanting to do embroidery and asking me about it, and it honestly is a really huge thing and so incredible that we can do it with print on demand at such low cost. So definitely check it out, and everything's linked below for you. And as I said in the beginning of the video, if you do want to join our community here on YouTube, I have lots of exciting stuff coming up within the new year and the holidays too. So I'd love to have you as a part of the community here. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any future videos. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.